Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We are broadcasting from the Thacker Jewelry Studios. We've got Steve Evans sitting in for Dave King. We want to get right to the phones. We've got Councilman Jeff Griffith on the line. Councilman Griffith, how are you doing this morning?
Good, thank you.
Now, I want the audience to know, I warned you beforehand that Steve Evans was here.
And I still called in.
Yes, you still called in.
No, it's good to have Steve on.
Yeah. So, Councilman, the big news, we haven't talked to you since this happened. The big news is the freeze that happened. Lubbock did an amazing job getting through everything when we had the bad temperatures, but a lot of people are worried about the move to ERCOT. Did y'all talk about that at all yesterday?
Yes, and there was also on Monday a Lubbock Power and Light Utility Board meeting that was obviously discussed. So, it's top of mind for everybody in Texas. So I think that I'm very hopeful that state leadership will continue the charge. Lieutenant Governor Patrick was here this week, and he is, I believe, very serious about his comments about getting this corrected. And so I applaud our state leadership and legislature this week for taking this under a serious investigation, and I think that good things will come from it. I really do.
Yeah.
I think definitely improved winterization, but we got to make sure as we evolve into this system, that guys, it's the reliability component has got to be number one.
Yeah. So is there any way that Lubbock, Texas can put a pause and find out where they're going to end up before we jump in at all? Or, I mean, is it just a done deal?
Well, as far as a done deal, I'd say it's close to a done deal. There's things that if nothing gets done from an improvement standpoint, then I think, yes, you could take a step back. And remember, the plan is for approximately 70% of Lubbock's load to be moved later this summer. 30% will still be remaining in the SPP grid,
right,
for a while. So it's not an immediate 100% moves to that grid overnight, but the plan is still for 70%. And you have I believe, a good opportunity to make sure that the improvements are made. And I know the financial components will be high, but we don't have nobody saw this coming. And it's actually a good wake up. I hate to, if there's ever a positive coming from a negative, this can be it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see them really shore up some things and get prepared. I think that's to me, that actually might be a positive thing in the long run.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it can be. And again, I applaud state leadership. They've all come out and spoke to getting corrective measures underway, starting, I believe, today.
Yeah, and I know that we've had board members that have resigned. I think 5 board members that were already there have resigned, and 1 that was about to go in. And I don't know. One of the things we were discussing was the importance of them necessarily being in Texas. I think there are people that can bring something to the table that may not live in Texas, but overall, it's hard to see someone that is not living under the consequences of their actions being a part of that board and seeing Texas suffer the way it did.
Good point.
Yeah.
I mean, and we were obviously, as you mentioned, we were very fortunate. I'm very proud of the way the city handled our situations here. There's folks around us not as that are still having issues. I have a son in Houston, a son in the Metroplex, and so I was living that day to day myself, concerned for their homes and businesses. And so I do think that you're right about you need to have your feet in the fire, you might say.
So, you said you have a son in Dallas and or in the Metroplex and a son in the Houston area. Are they still having problems with water there?
No.
No, everything's back to normal.
Yes.
Okay, that's great.
But obviously some, pipes bursting everywhere but they came out okay, considering living a few nightmare evenings without electricity. People don't, you don't appreciate it until you don't have it. And the main deal is we go to the wall and you turn the wall switch on and it comes on. And we're so, I wouldn't say spoiled to it, but it's a very, very important component of life and health. My gosh, what it could have, what it did for healthcare, where they had to move people out of hospitals.
Yeah, it was a nightmare. So I've got a question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, or if we'll need to talk to Matt Rose or someone, get them on the air. But whenever we get moved over to the ERCOT system, are we going to have to get a new provider, or will LP&L still be available to provide that electricity for us?
LP&L will still be the provider. Originally, this is an evolution of power in Lubbock, not really a revolution, as we've talked about in the past, moving to ERCOT and how Lubbock's grown, how people want choice. And so a long-term goal of this is to give people choice. One thing we heard over and over and over in the past 5 years was we don't want just one provider. And so eventually with deregulation, giving people an opportunity to select their provider will be an option.
Yeah.
But originally, to answer your question, it'll be LP&L.
So now I could be wrong, but in Austin they have ERCOT, but they still don't have choice, right? They still have to use Austin
Energy. Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, Councilman. We're speaking.
So we believe West Texas likes choice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've got Councilman Jeff Griffith on the phone. Councilman, I'm going to take a quick break, and we will be right back with Councilman Griffith on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM, KFYO. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. Again, we want to get back to the phones with Councilman Jeff Griffith. Councilman Griffith, y'all had a council meeting yesterday.
Yes, we did.
And did y'all have another work session that talked a little bit about changes to the charter?
We actually appointed, that was an actual agenda item, and we appointed a charter review committee to go to work.
Okay.
So, yes, that actually was enacted last night. And so a group of 7 Lubbock citizens will be looking at everything from cleanup, as Matt, we've talked about. Of course, the age of the Lubbock Charter is, some of it is literally just needs to be cleaned up. Some of the old language.
Yeah.
Some of it's older than I am. A lot. So it's pretty old. So it needs cleanup.
Now, I'm pretty sure I know, but how did the board come together?
Each council member was allotted basically a recommendation of a citizen from their district. And so We all six were recommended to the mayor, and the mayor selected a chair. So I think we've got a good group and a diverse group. I think they'll be on target. Excited for them to analyze the needs.
When will they start meeting?
I think probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I think that their work will probably be done by summer.
Yeah, and so y'all aren't necessarily looking at getting something in May for the May election then?
No.
Okay.
Possibly November, but not May.
Okay.
It may be ready by then. Don't want to pressurize the situation, but they need to give them time to really do the work and analyze it.
There's a lot to go through too.
Respect to their time and efforts. Yes, okay. Absolutely, there really is. Yeah.
Well, what else did y'all do yesterday at the city council meeting?
We overheard a presentation on the response of the city of Lubbock for the previous week's storm, and very amazed at how well all city departments came together and really did an outstanding job of keeping us not just with electricity, with water, obviously street conditions, all those factors. There was a whole lot that went into it, but I really applaud that. I'm real proud of our city departments, the way they handled it, police and fire. And by the way, vaccinations kept going, and the vaccinations are available this week. So there's still appointments available this week.
Councilman, how does the city emergency operations center and the county operations center, how do they work together and share responsibility?
Steve, there is a component to that. I don't know the exacts. When I've been there for events, I don't know that I've had the county involved. They do have their own separate entity, but that's actually a very good question. I don't have a good answer for you this morning. I need to get you a right answer.
I appreciate that. I think that I'm pretty proud of the city, and although we didn't have quite the precipitation that we saw in other cities that was really damaging, we had the bitter cold and the inability to really melt the ice on the streets. But I was pretty impressed the way Lubbock was able to handle everything last week. Minimal loss of power, minimal loss of water, and it seems like we came out of this storm a whole lot better than the rest of the state did.
Yeah, and to your point, Steve, I didn't realize this, but I can't remember, Jared Atkinson, our city manager, explained this yesterday, was at a certain point, salt doesn't work. Sand still helps, but salt, the temperature gets so low that salt really does no good. But there was tons and tons of product put on our streets. Obviously, now we've got a lot of work to do in the cleanup with potholes that will follow. So folks need to still call to report those, please, because we know that we don't see them all. Not all of them get reported, and some of them are deep and dangerous. So.
Yeah, but like Steve was saying, I think the city did a good job as well with the roads. I think that we were prepared this time with the roads, and I really don't have any major complaints on how the city handled this crisis. In fact, I think they did an excellent job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Also, want to point out, I think from what I read, the city sent water out to Littlefield. I'm not sure how all that works, but we were even helping the neighbors around us that ran into issues with water.
Yes. We sent help to Abilene, and kudos to United Super acted as the delivery mechanism. but the tabling. So, but Littlefield needed water. We have agreements with other cities around us that to aid the best we can. We're all in this together, and we got to be good neighbors.
So, Councilman, we do have to take a quick break. Can you come back for one more segment and talk about COVID-19 in Lubbock?
Yes.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking with Councilman Griffith on News Talk 95.1 FM, 790 AM KFYO. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. We've got Steve Evans sitting in for Dave. We want to get right to the phones. We've got Councilman Griffith on the line. And Councilman, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about before we ended was the fact that Lubbock is doing so well with the COVID-19. We're getting vaccinations going, but on top of that, I think even though they closed down testing when we came back, I think yesterday there were 25 new cases was all there was?
Yes, I'm very pleased that vaccinations are working. If you graphed the progress of the amount of vaccines that we've given, and hospitalization rate is dropped, it's a direct correlation. So I appreciate Lubbockites that have gone and got their doses, and I hope that everyone will get out there and it doesn't take very long to get it done, and it's I think the right thing to do for your family and your neighbors, not just yourself. But and by the way, there is availability. We our health department director and the mayor very successful in getting more vaccines, even though obviously last week we kind of lost. There's more on the way. So we're very proud that availability is strong right now.
Yeah, and we're giving it to the Group 1B, which doesn't just include those over 65 and those working in healthcare. It also includes those that have pre-existing conditions, which such as diabetes or even obesity. So if you think that you might be in that group, make sure if they've got openings, we definitely want to get as many people vaccinated as possible.
The number to call the health department, if folks would like to, the number is 775-2933. 775-2933.
So what's do you know when they're going to open it up for that next group of people, for everybody as far as the vaccinations are concerned?
Right, when you get out of phases 1A and 1B, Matt, I don't. I think we're probably pretty close, but and a lot will depend upon continuing to get enough doses.
Yeah. And I think my understanding is 17% of the Lubbock population has been vaccinated, and then you have another group of that population that's had the COVID-19. So there's a lot of people that have some sort of immunity to that.
We may be, we've been dealing with this for so long. We hate to not say we see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I think we do see the light at the end of the tunnel somewhat. Hopefully by this summer, there's talks with these other variants that it could go on longer. But I'm very proud of our health department, our medical facilities, and professionals that have continued to understand how important it is that folks get vaccinated. So I hope people will take us serious about this and realize that we know it definitely is working, as you can tell by the data.
So, Councilman, I don't know that what Lubbock can or can't do, but has there been any talks with the city council about, once we get out of this, what you can do to help get small businesses back up and running the way they need to, and to get people out and out in the community buying locally?
There's awareness of this. Some of the relief funds that were given to us from the CARES Act went for that. Obviously, there's another round of PPP available that folks can ask their local bankers about, because I noticed the new Biden administration, even for very, very small businesses, has opened up PPP. So the qualifications for a really small business are now available. So they've expanded that program. So people need to take advantage of that. Businesses really need to take advantage of that. It is a government handout, but the need is there. That's for sure.
So I know that did we go over everything that needed to be gone over with the council meeting?
I'd like to add audits are always boring topics to most folks, but I'd like to add that yesterday we did receive the city report and approved the comprehensive audit financial report, and commonly known as the CAFR. But that the health of the city financially, we're definitely in the right direction, and some of the financial news was actually very good considering what we've been through in the past year.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear.
I think we got a good health report on the city financially.
Yeah, that's good to hear, and it should get better as everything opens up more.
Yes.
All right. Councilman Griffith, I don't have anything else necessarily for you. It is time for us to take another break. I want to thank you for coming on and kind of going over yesterday's council meeting with us.
Well, thanks for having me, Steve. Good to talk to you, sir. Y'all take care.
Likewise.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Councilman Griffith, and we'll come back with Mornings with Dave King and Matt Martin. Steve Evans is sitting in for Dave King.